Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by Sinusoid Pro Audio Couture. Whether you're looking for a cable in a wide variety of tech flex, or you're just looking for something nifty that's going to last, like, I don't know, a few years, like maybe 100 years?
Yeah, like 100 freaking years, a century. It's a century, cable suckers.
Sinusoid.com has you covered. Go check them out today or tomorrow or sometime soon.
Listen, you go buy a seed from the plant store. You plant it in the ground. You look at the seed packet. It says century plant on there. It's going to take 100 years for that plant to grow. That's how long your cable's going to last. It's going to grow out of the ground, grow all kinds of leaves. Your cable's still good. It's going to throw a big stalk into the sky, 20 feet tall. Your cable's still good. You start to see that bloom at the top. 95 years into it, you're like, I don't know, I'm getting at the end of the life of my cable. Not until that flower dies on the century plant is your cable not good anymore. It's covered under a 100-year warranty until a century plant dies.
Okay.
Sinusoid Cables, they make cables and smiles. Hey, this is Ryan.
And this is Steve, and you're listening to 60 Second Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast.
Yes! Now with extra slurring. Thanks a lot, Paul and her beer. It's a Friday night. We both worked kind of late doing stuff and just being adults. And now we're up late drinking and podcasting.
Yeah, dude, this is actually
this is
the latest we've recorded.
Yeah, we've had a long string of like early Thursday recording sessions.
Yeah, I've been fighting to it's recording day. I'm going to leave work a little early, or at least on time, but usually early. Guys, anytime you can leave your job early to podcast,
do it. Guys, start a podcast so you can leave your job early and have less time to spend with your family. I was listening to Greatest Generation today, and they're going down to a one episode a week schedule. And I was like, finally, you guys have been killing yourselves. And then it was revealed, it's so that we can start doing Discovery and DS9 at the same time.
But they're only going to do one. They're going to do
one.
Wait, are they doing Discovery? I was under the impression they were doing Discovery and then they were doing DS9, alternating. But I guess they're probably doing Discovery every week and DS9 every week, but it's only going to be Monday releases.
Well, Discovery is going to run out in 10 episodes.
Discovery's going to run out in 6 episodes when it gets canceled.
It's not going to get canceled. All those episodes are in the can already.
I haven't actually seen it. Is it worth anything?
Dude, it's pretty good.
Is it really?
Yeah, you're listening to 60 Cycle Hum, the Star Trek recap podcast.
I am 2 eps into the Orville, and I am definitely enjoying that.
Orville is fun, but Star Trek Discovery is really good TV. It's really
What are you
good.
watching it on?
I'm streaming and stealing, dude.
All right.
I'm watching it on Pirate Bay is what I'm doing. I'm not going to pay money to what is it, CBS?
See, that's my problem
for
is
one show.
I'm not set up for the easy theft.
They're going to syndicate that stuff.
My previous I haven't pirated music in probably a decade. Except when somebody shows
I'm
up.
Steve.
Shut your dirty whore mouth, Ryan.
I'm so cool. I haven't pirated music. I haven't pirated music either because I use Pandora, dude. Which is just like stealing from musicians, only it's legal.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've been on the fence about TV. Discovery might get me over there, and plus I have Google Cast. So
I'm sure they're
going
to end up syndicating that crap onto Netflix or whatever after they cancel it after the first season because no one signed up for CBS streaming or whatever
They should have just gone straight to Hulu with it.
Dude, they should have gone straight
to
everything.
They should have just made it somebody's
They could have syndicated that across everything, man.
It's
Hulu,
because they want
Amazon, Netflix. They all would have taken it.
The real problem is they put it on CBS All Access, but they didn't pull Star Trek from anything else.
Yeah.
So I'm still watching DS9 on Netflix.
Yeah, DS9 is on there. My wife is literally in the living room right now watching the original series.
I know.
While she stitches together our child's Halloween costume.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah. But anyways, the first episode of Discovery is pretty rough. Is acting wise, the graphics are fantastic. It looks the whole show looks fantastic, but after you get past like the second episode, stuff starts getting really interesting. You're like, this show is going in a direction I did not expect. And it's really fun, but it's still Trekky, but it's still like, it's like a modern way of telling a story that you haven't had on a Trek show before.
Right.
But it's still just a bunch of fun. I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, I'll have to figure something out.
Yeah, figure something out, man.
You know what we didn't talk about last week?
What?
The Last Jedi.
I don't care. I honestly am wondering if I'm even going to go to the theater.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you see the final trailer?
I did. Oh, I don't know, man.
All right. You got anything new, bro?
We're going to talk about the 200th episode coming up. We mentioned Sinusoid, big old sponsor of our show, taking real good care of us. Sinusoid is our sugar daddy. Takes good care of 60 Cycle Hum over here. You should go buy their cables just because of that.
We already did our legally mandated sponsor spot.
But anyways, Andy from Sinusoid is going to come. He has a new employee that he's going to bring with him. We're really excited about that.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of fun partying.
I think we have like a good 20, 25 people
That's
just in the
RSVP'd.
Southern California RSVP'd for it.
That's not including, people bringing friends and, spouses
Right.
and whatever, and,
Right.
and industry types that haven't RSVP'd that might be coming and things like that. And honestly,
Is that a thing you've heard of, or are you just pitching that?
I'm just pitching that. I'm sure there's people, if I hit them up soon, I should do it this week. Like, hey, you should come to this. They'll be there, local guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. November 18th, Tiger in San Diego. What is it, 1 to 4?
Yep.
And we're planning on recording the episode around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And
Yeah,
then,
so basically, we have the patio like segregated from 1 to 4. Like we can kind of control it.
Yeah.
That sounds like what the setup's going to be. After that, obviously, like we don't have to leave right away. They have a ton of beer on tap. They have they have great food there.
Yeah.
The best food. Just their food selection is actually kind of the opposite of huge. But they have some really good food there.
they have a small menu, but they're always running like a side menu of special items that are like seasonal. Like there'll be like a dozen things on the chalkboard like that aren't on the regular menu.
But it's just a cool place. I'm really looking forward to it, and we're out on the patio, so I'm hoping it's typical San Diego fall weather.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
And if it is, it'll be awesome.
Even if it's raining, that patio is completely covered.
Oh no, I'm fine with that. I'm more worried that like East County is on fire and it's 97 degrees.
Yeah, that's always a possibility. I hope East County isn't on fire.
I'm hoping it's not 97 degrees. East County, sorry.
Oh, also, Tiger is next to one of the few pawn shops in town that has like a full window of guitars out front.
Oh yeah.
So that's the pawn shop that I posted pictures of a while back that has the the flying V2 in the window. So that might be fun to go check out. And
it's also down the street from Lucha Libre.
We'll get an army of guitar flippers in there, all making offers like every 10 minutes. Hey, will you take this?
Oh my gosh, that would be the best.
Take this.
That would be hilarious if like people just lined up and they would go in there and be like, "I'll give you $500 for that guitar," and the guy's like, "Nah," and then they just leave, and then the next person
$550.
The next person walks in, no, and just says 500, no, and just to see like how much if the counter offers change over time.
Good point. It'll be the craziest day that guy's ever worked the pawn shop.
Pawn shop.
All right, let's not let the beer steer this episode too much. Let's get into it, huh?
Yeah, this first ad is sent to us by Jesse Micah Emery.
I didn't typo it. That's his name, dude.
That says Misha.
Misha? Maybe it's Misha then.
Misha.
I think that's how it's spelled.
All right. Anyway, this is an album cover Telecaster. Handmade, born in the USA. Springsteen album cover tele-style guitar. They want $300 for this. This repurposed album cover, handmade guitar wales with a tele-style neck, vintage look tuners, and a bluesy single coil pickup. This guitar sounds awesome and would look great hanging on your wall. When you're tired of admiring it, plug it in. Art you can play. Made by Lackey Road Guitars.
So, worst case scenario.
It's Jesse Micah Emery.
Did I really spell it wrong?
Yeah, I think you just typoed it.
Whoops. Sorry, Micah. I assumed it was Micah.
Yeah, well, I'm
just
saying
spelled it
like
wrong,
this is the world you live in that I don't.
Oh man. So anyways, it's worst case scenario. You have a piece of like album art that's got a Telecaster bridge pickup right in the middle of this dude's butt here.
I think that is actually Bruce Springsteen?
Butt. I think it is Bruce Springsteen. I think that's his butt on the album art.
He's been doing squats.
Yeah, it could be worse. It could be a Sticky Fingers album cover by the Stones. You remember that one?
Oh, which one is that?
It's the one where it's the front of the pants and there's the zipper that you can open.
I don't think I've actually seen that one.
Oh, dude. That's like a famous album art. I actually pulled up a little thing on Google, like famous album art.
Famous album art. Is that one of them?
It's one of them.
Oh, I have seen this one. I didn't realize you could open the zipper.
Yeah, on the original ones, like the zipper is actually a zipper.
Oh, geez.
And you can open up that guy's, shoot, what's his name?
What band is this?
Mick Jagger's.
Mick Jagger.
You can open up Mick Jagger's pants.
Neil Young. Neil Young. He's in the Rolling Stones, right?
Yeah, Neil Young of the Rolling Stones.
Stephen Stills.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the drummer of the Rolling Stones, Judas Priest. Favorite member of the Rolling Stones. I'm looking through famous album covers now, like trying to figure out.
I just choked on my beer.
I want a Lionel Richie Telecaster. It'd be fun to do this, cut up album covers and make pick guards out of them, like plasticize them, like soak them in resin or something.
Oh man, I need it. Jeez, that was rough.
This list can't be real. Some of these are jokes.
They're fake.
Yeah, there's the Nirvana cover here, but it's got a sloth instead of a baby.
It's better that way.
What have I gotten into here?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like one. I don't even really feel like this particular one works that great.
Yeah, it also breaks my rules as far as, the vertical orientation of the art on a guitar. Right. This is oriented to be a wall hanger.
This one I think kind of works because I guess like the neck is connected to where his neck would be.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if it was turned the other way, you'd get more of that butt, though. You'd see more butt.
It would just look like it was supposed to be his dong. Come on, man.
Joy Division would make a great pick guard.
Which one?
The one with like the waveforms.
Yeah. I don't know.
Dude, I would totally rock Kiss Destroyer as a pick guard. That would be awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't even know how to process this. I mean, honestly, like I just can't. There's nothing about this that is exciting to me.
Well, worst case scenario as a player here, that's like like $120 like all parts neck.
Right.
You've got a body that's just a big square hunk of wood underneath the album art. Mm-hmm. And then you have a Telecaster bridge and pickup.
Right.
I mean, it's for $300. I kind of see the novelty. I don't think anyone's getting super ripped off.
I think you got to be a big fan. I think you got to be a fan.
You got to be a fan.
And in that case, just pick whatever album you want.
It's like you're looking for a reason to hang that album on the wall without just hanging an album on the wall in a frame.
Exactly.
You want to be like, yeah, I'm a music fan, but I'm also a musician. Don't forget that.
And really the solution is to get a keyframe / LP holder frame from I can probably do that at gmail.com. Good friend of the show, Cassidy McCannon.
Yeah, Cassidy. He made my speaker cabs.
Yeah, he makes this thing where it's a frame that you can put a full size.
Does he have
vinyl into?
Did you say a website for him? Does he have a website? It's
just his email.
Oh, okay,
I can probably do that at gmail.com. I'm pretty sure that's him.
He's on Instagram too.
Yeah,
go look him up.
I'm
looking at other famous album covers. I'm trying to figure out.
They're all bad.
That someone out there would just do it with like Pink Floyd. Every Pink Floyd album cover there is. And
I'm going to
boring to me.
go a little Mean Girls with this and say, stop trying to make fetch happen.
What?
Just stop trying to make fetch happen.
What is fetch?
Fetch. It's a thing that Gretchen Wiener says. She says,
I don't know who that is.
She says, oh, that's so fetch. And then Rachel McAdams, whose character I can't remember at the moment, says, stop trying to make fetch happen.
It sounds like this is from a movie.
It is. It's from Mean Girls.
I don't know if I've ever seen Mean Girls. Which is weird because I've seen a lot of movies. By the way, if you haven't seen it, Steve, and everyone listening right now, go freaking watch Baby Driver.
I heard it's really good.
It's stupid good. It's like really, really fun. Like really fun. Seriously, go watch it.
I've got Baby Driver now on my list, and Step Brothers is apparently a movie I need to see real bad.
Because, it's all right.
I have a couple of coworkers that just will not stop
quote it all the time.
Quoting it. And then they're like, I told you to watch it a week ago. Why haven't you watched it yet? I'm like, I don't have time.
It's Will Ferrell and it's John C. Reilly, and it's going to be fun. It's just, it's kind of doing the Chris Farley sort of thing.
Right.
Only it's two Chris Farleys. It's a Chris Farley movie with two Chris Farleys, basically.
Interesting.
I mean, if you take Will Ferrell, he is basically Chris Farley and what's his name, David Spade, combined into a singular person. Like he's his own straight man and his own fool combined together. And then you've got the same thing with John C. Reilly. So it's like you're doubled up on Chris Farley's and David Spade's.
Yeah.
It doesn't make the movie sound very fun to watch, but
yeah, it makes it sound awful. But apparently, my coworkers want me to watch it. Maybe it's really just a trap.
It's a trap. I mean, I think it's a fun, quotable movie. It's not a big deal. It's no Baby Driver, I'll say that.
All right, this weekend, Pirate Bay, Baby Driver, drive those babies.
What is this, a TV and movie podcast?
All right, this question comes from Luke Mundy. He says, what's one piece of gear that you love using but rarely use live? For example, the Pelotar is almost always the first thing I plug in at home, but I rarely use it outside of that. This is going to tie into a little bit to, I guess, our second topic, but I feel like, the Pelotar is an example of one, but like fuzz pedals in general are things that I don't really use outside of the house.
I have trouble with fuzz in general, and I have so many fuzz pedals. I love using them at home. I completely relate to this question, and it is hard to use them in an actual live band setting because it's like the song has to be written for them almost. I am playing in a surf rock band, but I don't have any songs that are written for the fuzz, and I really need to do that. I need to write like 2 or 3 songs just for fuzz, just to have the excuse to use them.
Yeah.
But like there's precedent to use fuzz in surf rock, and I just haven't gotten around to it. I use fuzz sparingly at church. Right. And it's usually to load up just a big static signal into modulations and delays and reverbs.
Yeah, like I've used fuzz for like really cool, like a very string instrument. I mean, guitar's a string instrument, but like very bowed instrument.
Because fuzz buys you a ton of sustain.
Yeah,
like if you're doing like the slow swells in and out into a bunch of delays and reverb, the fuzz gets you the sustain you need to really drive that through.
But otherwise, I just, I have a fuzz on my board, but that's basically all I get to use it for.
But it's so rare you get to just turn on a fuzz, just a dry fuzz with nothing else going on, and just grind, some heavy riffs out.
So heavy.
The songs that we play, the bands that we're in, just don't lend themselves to it, you know?
I think another effect that I would say is like this. I have a flange pedal. That's like a lot of fun to mess around with, but I never like.
It's tricky.
There's never anything with it where I'm in the middle of like working on a song. I go, you know what this song needs?
Bunch of flange.
Flanger.
Flanger. Flanger is tricky in the way that you've got to use it sparingly and very intentionally because it gets old real quick. Just a like that gets old real quick. It's like an intro sound effect. It's something going on in the background during transition to a bridge or something like that. You can use flange more often if you're using the rate really high and treating it kind of like a vibrato, chorusy sort of thing. But that slow flange on top of a distortion, it's just such a specific thing.
I think that's even another part of the problem that I have is that I have like a 5-knob flange.
Yeah, you got like the most complicated flanger ever.
So it's got a ton of options on it, and they're like not given names that make sense to me. Like one of the knobs is manual.
Well, then it's perfect. It's perfect for church then, manual.
No, just manual.
You just need to put an E on there.
Manuel.
Play an E with the manual setting, and you're playing a worship song or a Christmas song at least.
Oh come
Emmanuel. Steve, it's not even Halloween yet, and we're singing Christmas songs. I know.
All right.
We've got to fight harder on this war against Christmas.
All right. This next ad is sent to us by Ryan, I guess. Maybe.
Are we done with that already?
I don't know. You got any other suggestions?
I wish that I could play wah more often.
I don't even own a wah.
I own a couple of wahs now.
Wah.
Wah is a ton of fun, but I can use it in ways that are sparing if I'm doing like a slow rock back and forth with it, like just accentuating notes and like kind of sweeping with it. But I want to have excuses to just do the shaft theme all the time with it, like wow, I want to Kirk Hammett all the time. Like, I get it, Kirk. I get why you're on the wall all the time. It's fun. I also wish I could do like the whammy thing more often, like plugging in the expression pedal to the pitchfork, just doing the hard like Tom Morello thing. Like, that's a ton of fun. I love that. What else do I wish I could use more? I wish I could use it all a lot more. Every effect that's not on my board, I wish I could use it more often. I always wish I had a reason to use a ring modulator. I don't even own a ring modulator, but it's just so crazy.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They're kind of like a fuzz related-ish, I guess.
I was thinking about this the other day where we spend all this money on pedals.
Right.
That they might have a ton of options in them, but at the end of the day, you really find that one or two settings that are the ones you use. And so it's like if you buy like a $200, $300 pedal, you bought it to fulfill, like a sound bite that lasts a couple of seconds in a couple songs.
Sure.
If you're lucky. And I'm not talking about like overdrives and delays and reverbs because those get used as always on pedals. I'm talking about the funky ones.
Right.
Where it's like you really like use these things pretty sparingly, and we drop big money on these things. Mm-hmm. It's pretty wild.
Well, that was like what's it called?
Just spend money till you're happy, guys.
The Earthquaker Devices spatial anomaly. Is that what it's called?
I mean, a lot of Earthquaker pedals. I mean, you get an arachnoid. That's not an always on pedal.
They make some interesting stuff, but I remember that pedal specifically. I'm like, this isn't even a guitar anymore. Like, this is just like a sequencer. What's going on? I don't understand.
Oh, the mash function on the Flashback 2, like make space noises and stuff.
Right.
I've been using that at church. I've legit been using it. I've been like, cool. And I played it for the youth group service.
Oh yeah.
Last week. Every now and then they rotate the regular service players into the youth band for fun.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just stomping that thing, making the spaceship take off. And the band was impressed. I don't know if the kids cared at all.
Right.
But the band was like, wow, you were doing it. You were making the sounds. I was like, yeah, I was. It was fun, huh? And they were like, yeah, it was okay. We'll see what happens if I do it in a regular church service. All right, next ad.
Yeah, I started on this, but then you interrupted me.
Well, you cut off the topic super quick, Steve.
I'm on. Okay. All right, this is $230 from the Stratosphere on eBay. This is a Gibson It says description: official American Gibson M2 body and neck, 4 pounds 5 ounces, carved. Popular body, neck is maple, slim taper, some other nonsense that no one cares about. 12-inch radius, blah blah blah, whatever. Tectoid self lubricating nut. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. This color is called strawberry milk. It's the darkest strawberry milk I've ever seen.
That's a lot of Nesquik in there.
Anyway, they're asking $230. The Stratosphere is a store that's been on eBay as long as I can remember.
Yeah,
and
these guys get around.
They basically will buy a bunch of stuff, maybe find guitar stores that are going out of business and buy out their inventory and then break it down.
Part it out
And sell everything. If you've ever looked for just like a Fender bridge or Fender pickguard on eBay, you've probably come across the Stratosphere.
I think it's fun that you know about this shop, Steve, because I didn't.
Yeah, like I said, they're very well known.
So I think this is fun. I was curious the other day. I was like, oh, I wonder what Gibson M2s are going for use.
It's funny. Oh, this is on Reverb. Actually.
Yeah, this is on Reverb.
But they're a known entity on eBay.
So I pulled up the Reverb and I was looking at it. And there's a bunch of these.
The Reverb?
There's a bunch of these parted out M2s on there. And I mean, the price ain't bad, right? $230.
What was this? A $400 guitar?
Yeah, something like that.
I guess that's not too bad.
But the trick with these, and the more I looked, because I was tempted at first. I remember the one that Aaron loaned me actually played pretty decent. It definitely plays way more decent than that Epiphone that I have, the SL. And I was like, maybe I should revisit these and get one and try to get more views out of them. And then I saw these ads for the parted out ones. And I was like, that price is pretty decent. But then I started to do the math. And it's like, it doesn't have the tuners on there. So you're going to have to buy tuners. It doesn't have the pickguard on there. And this isn't a pickguard you can just buy anywhere. So these people, they sell the pickguard assembly with the pickups. And it's like an extra $100. And so already you're at $330 just for the guitar with the pickups and the pickguard.
Yeah.
And then you have to add in the tuners, and then you're at $375. And then you have to buy the bridge. Now you're easily at $400. So it's kind of like they got it figured out. But I guess if you have a bunch of parts around and you know how to cut a pickguard, you can make it work.
I mean, if you've got like a wraparound all-in-one bridge just laying around, I mean,
I could see myself getting one of these and doing a more premium version of the SL with it, though. Like putting 2 singles in it.
Right.
Putting a more premium bridge on it, putting better tuners on it. I honestly really love the colors that they come in. I think if they started making the pick guards on these sites where you can get a pick guard for like $30 or whatever, then I might be more tempted in the future. Because it did play pretty decent. I thought it was a fun playing guitar. And I think the construction is really unique for a Gibson. I really like the maple neck on there.
I think it's always that wild card of like, if it's decent, like, I think that was always the big question with these is, okay, so it's decent, but what does that mean? Also, it's, $400. Do you want to pay? Most people, I think, would pick up like a Fender Mexican Strat and say like, this is good, and good is better than decent.
I am completely comfortable saying that they're priced correctly.
Okay.
There's no other way for me to compare it right now that I think makes sense. They're priced correctly. It plays like a $400, $500 range guitar. And they're kind of their quirky own thing. Like the neck comes in flat instead of super angled like a normal Gibson.
Right.
But that would actually lend itself better to a single coil pickup loadout, which is another reason why I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
And the colors are fun. I really like this strawberry milk. I really like the Citron green. Mm-hmm. And it's got a nitro paint job, so it's going to relic really easily.
Hopefully.
No, they will. The paint's really thin on them. The one that the one I borrowed from Aaron from the Gearslum podcast. If you don't listen to the Gearslum, you guys should go subscribe right now, by the way.
If you don't listen to the Gearslum, there's probably a reason. Actually, I listened to I listened to them today.
Did you? Good job.
Yeah.
Good for you, Steve.
I did it.
I don't know why I made it sound like I was.
You were like promoting them, and then I was dogging them, and then I was like, "No, just you." Then I like backtrack on my dogging, and you're like,
"This is a very confusing
idiot."
We're sending a very confusing message right now.
All right,
but it had a couple chips in it, and you could see the paint was very thin. It will come off very easily with any normal like rough playing. I still say it'd be a great punk rock guitar. Like if you're looking to do like a Green Day cover band, this would be a fun guitar.
Yeah.
Like just throw a single hot humbucker or P90 in the bridge there. Don't worry about the rest and just grip it and rip it, you know?
Sometimes I think back to when I was punk rock.
Yeah.
Things were a lot simpler then.
Is this a song quote?
No.
It's
just a thing I've been thinking about lately.
Things were simpler back in the day, Steve. All right, do we want to tackle the next topic?
Yeah, this was sent in by Javier Herrera. He watched our Bubbletron video. And by our, I just mean because that channel is 60 Cycle Hum, so I guess it's technically mine.
You do work on the videos. You go in and you put in like a bunch of the metadata and links and stuff like that. But yeah, I do most of the work for sure.
But he says, coming from pure naivete here, but would you mind explaining how worship music and or guitar playing to church? Not sure if you've gone into detail on the podcast at all, but I would. But I really got curious when Ryan said what he was playing in between sessions or service. So yeah, I think that's something we've kind of sort of talked about in bits and pieces, but we've never really like fully dove into like I guess our thoughts musically, or at least if we have, it's been a really long time.
Well, first off, if we're going to talk about praise and worship and playing in church. Everyone listening right now needs to get saved. So please close your eyes and bow your heads and fold your hands.
This feels really weird.
We're going to lead you in a prayer.
But more seriously, so Ryan and I were both in church bands, and basically what we do is, big picture is, there's literally an entire book in the Christian Bible, and I guess it would also be in the Jewish tradition called Psalms that is literally like an entire book of like
songs, actual songs that were like accompanied with like a lyre or a harp.
It would have been like poems or songs or whatever that were just traditional.
But they're written in
Jewish music.
They're written in a lyrical way.
Yeah,
they're written to like go with music.
They're written in a lyrical way until they're translated into English.
Yeah, things get weird. But it's common for people to grab a verse and then mangle it around and turn it into a chorus.
Right.
You know.
And really that to say, like, you know, I think most religious traditions incorporate some level of Jeebus.
Sorry, I'm fiddling with things and dropping things and making noises.
That's usually what I'm doing. That most religious traditions incorporate some sort of like music into their religious ceremonies or their services or whatever they call them. And Christianity's no different. So worship music is really just an expression for people in a church service, either singing songs that are expressing something that they want to express about what they believe in God, about God, or express something about what they want to do for God, or response to what they believe that God has done for them. I'm trying to.
I mean, it's no different. It's no different than any other song. If you listen to the song that's like, I love like fast cars and hot women, it's like no different than that. Only you're saying I love Jesus and I love salvation. And I love love.
I love fast cars.
It's dedicating, you know, some creative time to thinking about the thing that you're thinking about in a musical way. It's not that big of a deal. I think what's unique within, you know, our Western churches and the churches that Steve and I are in is that the music has gone very modern. Yeah. And it uses, you know, a full band setup, electric guitars, drums, bass, you know, singers who are singing in a very modern style. And it's just, you know, a variety of the church that has embraced pop culture to a certain extent. So we have these worship services where we get to play our regular rock and roll rigs.
Yeah.
And play music that isn't that far off from U2 or Coldplay or even like Oasis sort of like sort of thing.
So I don't, I feel like in a ways the long joke for a long time was like, Christian music or Christian worship music is just like borrowing from U2 or borrowing from Coldplay.
I feel a lot of times I'm leaning on like a Pink Floyd sort of thing too, even though I'm not a huge Pink Floyd kind of guy.
I think it kind of depends. There are definitely, I think that at this point in time, that a lot of church music isn't even like following it. It's been following itself. Like maybe originally, like 10, 15 years ago, there was a heavy U2 or a heavy Coldplay.
Sure.
Like a heavy just
and
general
it's still
like
a joke, but it's
like electric guitar Britpop sound sort of thing going on. But I actually feel like that Christian music has been emulating itself for so long.
Yeah.
That you do have kind of stylistic independence, and you do have some things that are like more influenced by like sources that are a little less traditional. So you have been seeing more like electronic influences and synthesizers, and
there's some EDM coming into it
and stuff like that for the last few years. But overall, at the end of the day, like if I'm actually, I did a song. This was like 2 or 3 months ago that was I was working on it. And I may have mentioned it on the show or maybe I just told Melissa and I thought I mentioned it on the show. But basically this, all of the second guitar work, which would in this case is like the electric guitar, was like mute. It was like a muted lead line. And it was like a really unique sound on the recording, but it was in like a tougher key. And then the guy leading it dropped it down to a key where I was like, oh, I don't have to do any work with like my left hand anymore. I just can do all the muting with my right hand. Anyway, but literally, it sounded like the pizzicato with like muted violin sound at the beginning of what is the name of the song? It was the first big Panic at the Disco single. Jeez, what is it called?
I don't know.
I know you don't know. I write sins, not tragedies. But it was that dude, like it was kind of like it reminded me a lot of that, and it made me think like there's a lot of influences, some stylistic, some intentional, probably some intentional, probably a lot not intentional, because the reality is that people exist in musical bubbles, and sometimes like even religious people like. There are like religious people that only listen to religious music, but there's a lot of religious people that write music that are listening to a little bit of everything.
Absolutely.
And it also got me thinking about how when I have the freedom to kind of like, here's a song that we're not necessarily, aside from maybe the vocal melody, referencing a specific recording, like I still bring my own influences into it.
Oh, totally.
I'm not. And for me, like a lot of times that's, bands like Copeland.
Well, I think you and
like
I have both been fortunate to be in worship settings where it's not super strict and super high performance related, where we're expected to reproduce the recordings or the way the original artist did it. So we get a lot of freedom to, like noodle and experiment. Mm-hmm. I play 2 services on a Sunday morning. I don't play the song the same way twice, no matter what, just because I kind of like lean on improvisation and I go with what's happening in the moment. Another unique thing to playing church music is that, there's people who criticize it and be like, oh, yeah, this music is just, 3 or 4 chords. It's all kind of formulaic, this and that. But the reason it is that way is because this music is designed for a really high level of audience participation.
Right.
From a group of people who the rest of their week, they might not be big music fans. certainly not musicians, and the songs have to be written in a way where the congregation or the audience, however you view it, needs to be able to come into a place of participation relatively easily. They need to be able to sing it easily. They need to be able to follow the song easily, so it can't be in like a weird time signature that a audience member would have trouble and would be tripping all over. It's a lot to expect them to clap on the 2 and the 4 instead of the 1 and the 3 most of the time.
Yeah.
So
shoot, I haven't even figured that out.
It's a very like audience friendly, like basic sounding song structure at its core because of that reason. And there's people who dock on it because of that, but I honestly think it's kind of beautiful in a way that these songs can be deceptively simple, because there can be a lot of stuff going on in them these days, but they're still written around the idea that a room full of people need to be able to jump on these songs relatively quickly and sing along for them to have the experience that they're trying to have with it.
Right.
Which is, like this, participation, everyone kind of on the same page, worshiping, having a spiritual experience sort of thing.
And I think too that like that's an interesting point as well, because you mentioned like it's designed for broad audience participation, and I know people who are like, oh, it's just it's the same 4 chords and different keys and whatever, but it's like, well, unless and
it's all major scale. Every now and then there's a minor scale, but it's all major.
If you're in a situation where you're going for like a specific reproduction, then I mean that's tougher. But like Ryan mentioned, like we've always been in situations where for the most part, like if I just learned like a new riff from a song and I go in like from off the radio and I go into church that Sunday and the song that we're doing that week happens to have the same or a very similar chord progression, am I going to work in that like progression I just learned? Hell yeah.
So it's funny that Bubbletron video,
right?
I didn't do it in the video, but that chord progression is a common chord progression in a couple different worship songs. It's also the same chord progression from Imaginary World by Duran Duran.
Right, right.
And when a song is playing that's using that at church, every now and then I play the lead line from Imaginary World. And there's another song that is basically the same chords to Zombie by the Cranberries.
Yeah.
And I definitely lead on the lead structure of that song.
Yeah. I know actually both songs you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the first one, but yeah, I mean, there is stuff like that. It's all kind of like, it's all kind of just interesting, the musical evolution. And really for both of us, like, this is a genre of music that both of us have been playing for like close to probably 20 years or more. In your case, maybe 20 years.
It's changed because I used to like lead like youth worship, and it was different in the late 90s, early 2000s, where like it was more like single guitar oriented. Like, one guy is going to stand up with a guitar and play acoustic songs, and everyone's going to sing along. This whole like band development thing has really like just taken off in the last 15 years, 10 to 15 years, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like, it's really like
15 years.
There were always bands, but it wasn't expected for a church to be doing a full band thing every Sunday. And now it's like, it's really snowballed into this whole thing. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And like I said in a comment on the YouTube video where I was talking about how I use the Bubbletron at church, there are elements to this culture and to Western Christian culture and the praise and worship scene that, absolutely. It's easy to make fun of it. Mm-hmm. It's easy to mock it and find the things about it that are ridiculous. And it's part of our Christian Western culture to look in the mirror and be like, is this thing that we're doing stupid? Should we stop doing this? And we might hit that point at some time in the future with the way praise and worship music is now, where churches look at themselves and say, we've gone a little bit too far with this.
Right.
I mean, it's a changing scene, like just like any other musical scene. Like, it comes in and out.
new styles come in.
I think the interesting thing with church music, at least like modern Christian music, is that as a whole genre, I feel like if you think of it as a genre, it actually is probably moving faster than any other genre of music. Even though in a sense it's like kind of emulating pop culture in general, which in a sense it moves slower. Like it moves slower in that sense, but in what's present right now. So I guess what I mean by that is if a new pop punk band came out doing the Blink-182 sound from the late 90s and they just happen to have that they're going to get airplay.
Right.
But if a new church artist tried to come out doing like the church music sound from like 1999, like they're not going to get anywhere.
I don't know.
At least it's going to be a lot harder for them to get that like accepted, because it's like, oh, that's old. That's a tired sound.
I don't even understand the praise and worship music industry business side of it.
Right.
I know there's like all sorts of things people can complain about in that direction and talk about in that direction. I honestly don't listen to praise and worship music on my own time. I listen to it when I'm playing it with the band.
Right.
It's not the kind of music I listen to for entertainment, but I enjoy listening to it at church. So it's like I'm not even like in touch with what's going on in like the world of what's like the new hot song or whatever. Like I don't find out about it unless the worship leader chooses it for us to play.
That's fair. I'm trying to actually go out of my way to listen to stuff more frequently, but not too often, I guess.
Is going back to the point of them being simple songs and songs that the audience can pick up fairly easy. It's also a point can be made that for most churches, you have a volunteer band.
Yeah.
They don't have a ton of time. They have other jobs. They have other things going on. They show up to, if they're lucky, a weekly practice.
Right. I haven't had a weekly practice in probably at least a year.
Where at the weekly practice, they learn the song for the first time. They might not have even listened to it before coming to practice. And then the next Sunday, they are playing it live in front of 100 people, 500 people, 2,000 people. Like some churches get huge, some churches are very small. But it is still like these songs need to be designed in a way that not only the audience can grab onto them easily, but that a band that is used to playing with each other can also jump on them pretty easily.
It's kind of interesting to think about that. I never really put a ton of thought into it, but like back when we were playing together, like I think we would kind of workshop a song for at least a month most of the time before we were like, even when we were like fairly active, like probably playing like 2 or 3 shows a month. Like if we introduced a song like the week that we were also playing a song or playing a show, we'd be like, no, we shouldn't play this song at the show this week.
It takes Dinosaur Ghost and I to hash out. It takes about, I'd say, like 4 practices for us to like completely hash out a song.
Right.
And even then, it's still kind of up in the air. I know it's different when you're playing someone else's song that's already hashed out completely, but there's still an element to these songs that's like, there's a formula. They kind of sit in, a certain flavor of song. There's like 5 different like subgenres of songs within praise and worship. And once you figure out, oh, this is, the song that's slow and then has the quiet, this, or this is the fast, high energy song that has this kind of bridge, This is the first song where you're trying to get everyone in the door. And this is the communion song that has the opportunity for a long, somber bridge part that's instrumental,
Right. This is the song that is really repetitive and has long pauses in it. So if you need to repeat like a section 3 or 4 times, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. The extra chorus song. All right, let's move on to the next ad. The last ad.
Yeah, this last ad is a Fender Stratocaster Hellecaster, 1997, black with gold fleck. They're asking $2,300. It says, John Jorgensen knows what tone is all about, and with only 500 made of this little demon, you'll know too. Number 314 of 500, Seymour Duncan to the next level with all original hardware, an original hardshell case, and nearly flawless. 2,300 takes it home to make the neighbors mad.
Are you familiar with the Hellecasters?
I'm only familiar with them to the extent that I know that Jerry Donahue is part of that band, but I don't think I've ever heard one of their songs.
So it's like this really tight, really proggy take on kind of like this rockabilly country twang sort of thing. Like imagine if like Dire Straits was way more American sounding and more proggy with
right.
with a rockabilly thing going on. That's kind of the Hellecasters. I mean, they're a lot of fun to listen to. I think it's all instrumental. I can't remember any of their songs that have singing in them, but I don't mean this as an insult. But I think people understand when I say that they are like an ultimate dad band. Like this is dad rock to the definition, where it's like, yeah, there's like exceptional guitar playing going on, but there's just something so like dad about it. Like, this is the music dad listens to, you know? It's socks with sandals music.
I'm looking at a picture and I can definitely see, like, it definitely looks like they're doing, like, I mean, it's all Telecasters.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, this is like his signature guitar from Fender, but every like video I've ever seen of them playing is Telecasters.
But like, and then there's one there. There's actually a G&L ad where they're all playing G&L ASATs.
That's not surprising either.
But they all definitely look very like. They're just like, this is what we play, but we're not doing anything.
They're not rock. They don't have the rock star thing going on. They're like dads.
Yeah.
But I mean it in like an endearing, good way. And these are excellent musicians that are making music on a level that I'll never make. Like incredible guitar playing, incredible musicianship. Sure. There's just something so dad about it.
Well, they're just like, I mean, literally like in all of these, there's one guy that has long hair, but he's wearing like a vest. When I say long hair, I think it's really just
Show me the
mullet.
picture.
Well, so like this is the G&L ad, and they're like all wearing jeans, but they're wearing
this is 90s
jeans with a vest.
This is 90s era Hellecasters. This is what they used to look like.
I don't think I'm not really finding anything newer.
Which is like the 90s era stuff. If you go listen to it, there's like a Les Claypool vibe floating around in there too. So let's talk about this guitar now that we've talked about the band.
Yeah.
This guitar is interesting to me because this is what would have happened if Fender had come to me, like say like somewhere between 1998 and like 2006 and be like, hey, you want a custom shop instrument? You want your own signature guitar? And I would have taken that as an opportunity to be like, yeah, let's make my signature guitar just be a bucket of parts that I'm curious about instead of being a guitar with a bunch of parts that I'm very familiar with and I know that I need in an instrument to fit me. Like it's got those Seymour Duncan pickups that only cover 3 strings, so you have to have 2 of them per position, which I've always been curious about.
Like, kind of like the Mustang bass pickup, basically.
Exactly.
That kind of shape.
There is the pickups that Fender would put on their 12-string guitars back in the day.
Right. That's what it is.
I've always been curious about those. I've always wanted a guitar with those. So I totally would have been like, yeah, Fender, put a bunch of these in a guitar for me. And then I just love the sparkle job. There's a sparkly pickguard on it too. The pickguard is sparkly gold, and then the body is like a sparkly gray. It looks fantastic. You know I would play this guitar for sure.
No, I like the way it looks. I've got some questions about the pickups.
And then it's got a reverse headstock, which is something in that time period I was curious about. And I was buying like parts necks and putting on guitars and trying reverse headstocks, which is I now consider it to be a mistake in my life. So I just thought the guitar was interesting. I thought it would be interesting to talk about the band. I don't know. Do you have anything else to add, Steve?
Not really. I thought this was kind of a your ad thing because I don't know a ton about this topic.
Well, obviously I talked about it a lot. Wes Little sent it in, and obviously it perked my interest when I saw it. $2,300, $25 shipping. That's low shipping. Well, they might as well make it free.
Right.
You know, right?
How much is that guitar worth, you think?
I don't know, but there's a lot of Hellecaster fans out there, and they're like people who are Hellecaster fans. Like I said, it's dad music. These are people who spend big money on, Fender custom shop guitars and are into guitar as a musical genre.
Right.
Like not just bands that have guitar in them, they listen to guitar bands. Like these are the same people who probably listen to, like Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and whatnot. Like they get really excited for that sort of stuff because it's a guitar band for sure. I feel like that price has got to be fair for that crowd. Like it's got to be attractive to someone out there, especially for a piece like this that's like just so funky. There's got to be videos of them playing this guitar out there somewhere, right?
Probably.
I mean, like I said, I've only seen them using tele variants, but they have this made.
Yeah, and there's only 500 of them.
500 doesn't sound like an only number, though.
You don't think that's an only?
It sounds like a lot of guitars to me.
I don't know. That seems pretty limited. I feel like 500 is like the mid range of what you could call a limited edition guitar.
I guess so. I guess it depends on what builder you're talking about. For Fender, 500 isn't that much. It's not custom shop. It's not like, they made 15 of these things. But
I'm saying, like, if you're a fan, like, you don't have a lot of choice. Like, this is it.
This would probably be a great surf guitar.
Like, I'm not even seeing these guitars on eBay.
Yeah, so this is probably your only opportunity to grab one.
Ever.
If it pops up,
Ever.
I think it's pretty. It's got a lot of funky things going on. If you're a fan of that band, then this is the thing, I guess.
Looks like his G&L electric, the G&L version of his guitar, which is completely different.
Yeah.
It's just an ASAT. People are asking...
Which is like a tele shape, right?
Yeah, people are asking $1,800 for it. Maybe sometimes a little more. But that's kind of where that's at. So, the price probably isn't the worst.
I feel like I should do like a video or like a podcast piece where I sit down with my dad and I play him Hellecaster songs and then get his opinion. Like, did you like that, Dad? And he'd be like, yeah, that was pretty good. This is a dumb idea.
I feel like that would be the worst video ever. Just be your dad, like, that's good. And then what's a
guitar? I like it.
What's a typical joke your dad would play? Oh, Hellecasters, huh? Don't let your mom know I was listening to this.
No, my dad's jokes are way more awkwardly sexual.
Yeah,
like he'd find a way to make an awkward sexual joke, no matter what. No matter what. And with that, let's close the episode. What do you say, Steve?
Yeah, thanks to our sponsor, Sinusoid Pro Audio Couture.
Really looking forward to hanging out with those guys at the 200th episode.
Yep.
Sinusoid Cables, they make cables and smiles.
Sinusoid.com.
They also make you feel like there's a snake crawling around behind you. Sinusoid Cables, they'll really bring the room together. Sinusoidadoptapet.com.
What?
All that stuff. That's everything you need to know.
This week's song was sent to us by Kenneth Robinson, who goes by River Ralph. He sent us a cover version of
Wait, what? He goes by River Ralph?
Like his stage name is River Ralph.
Okay, his stage name. All right.
And he's sending us a cover of Rush's Xanadu.
Nice.
He says, I mostly use guitars that Rush wouldn't, such as a Beatle bass, a Kramer Pacer Classic, and even an unamplified Dan Electro. The ambient guitar sounds are courtesy of Chris Almalar's book, The Guitar Effects Cookbook. And this guitar this song he calls Bananadu.
I love it. I can't wait to hear this song.
So thanks, Kenneth Robinson. We have 2 more songs left. So if you're interested in getting your music on this program, send us a file, WAV, MP3, M4A, not anything Windows exclusive.
Yes.
To 60cyclehumcast@gmail.com. And we will play it on the show someday.
Someday. It'll be pretty soon. We usually have a backlog of about 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah.
So it'll take about a month probably.
Normally, yeah. That is accurate.
Yeah. It's relatively quick.
Okay.
Right. Thanks for listening, guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.